Hello snowboarders of the internet, I'm your host Avran LeFeber, and in this video we're going to be reviewing the new Union Ultra binding. I rode this binding at Copper Mountain on a day that had dust on crust, heavy pow in the trees, sun, overcast skies, chopped chunder, perfect corduroy, and I rode it on my Ride Shadow Band with my K2 Thraxis boots. Alright, so let's talk about adjustability on this binding. The heel cup can slide in or out. You just loosen the screw, pull it out, push it in, do your thing. High back has two placements so that you can align it with your back edge if you want to. You do have a pop-down system for the toe straps. Now what you will notice is that it is not cut out on the bottom, so if you break one of these straps, you're going to have to slice this open to get that to move. Then you do have a flip tab on the toe strap that you just unscrew, and that will loosen. Then you can lengthen or shorten depending what you need to do. So with the heel strap, you have a dual pin system. What you want to do is grab the cross strap, pull it up, grab the heel strap, put your thumb in there, pull apart, boom, there you go. Two little pins, and you can slide it up or down depending where you need it to go. Then you just push down on those pins and it locks it in. That's it for adjustability. When it comes to the straps, you've got just a two-piece design to the heel strap, and it's very thin. You're gonna get all your padding pretty much from your boot, and it's a little bit wider towards the ratchet. This is gonna allow for the instep to just fit better over boots, so you're not getting that instep pressure. But it's still got a little bit of rigidity to it, so it does grip, it holds you in, and it holds you in well. With the toe strap, it's very minimal design, and it's very reminiscent of how Flux has done their stuff, just two very thin straps so that it'll contour around the boot. I do think that it fits better around a pointy-toed boot versus something that's a little more blunt and stretched out. I've heard people saying that they've had some issues with it. I didn't have any issues with it on my K2 Thraxis. It fit well. I really dug the way that it just locked in. It felt super secure. When it comes to ratchets, I'm a big fan of uniformity. You get that on the toe and the heel ratchet. You never have to worry about it. One finger, boom, quick release. These lock in, they climb super well. You don't get as much leverage on that toe ratchet as you do the heel one, in my opinion, just because it's a little bit smaller. But Union's been making bindings for 20 plus years, and then if you count the time that the designers worked with Drake, they know what they're doing. I like this ratchet, it worked. I never had it prematurely released, felt secure, it was easy to use. What more could you really ask for? With the high back, it's a little stiffer on the inside, softer on the outside. This really lets you tweak it. It's not the stiffest high back out there. You can see that I'm actually moving it. One thing to note is that it does come with natural forward lean in it. I felt this at one time on a deep heel side turn in about a foot of heavy baked pow in the trees. It really caught and I was like, whoa, that feels really weird. Otherwise, even with that natural forward lean, it kind of matched up to my boot. I never noticed it. If you're one of those guys that runs like a really straight upright boot, you probably will notice it. If you like forward lean, then you're not going to have an issue with this at all. While this binding is softer, it's still not as soft as the old Contact Pro that this actually replaced. And while you do have a mini disc, and that does give you a lot of lateral play, it still has some stability to it. And yes, it is below middle of the road, but you can still charge when you absolutely have to with this binding, which was a really big surprise for me. What's nice about it is that other bindings in this category just tend to be sloppy. You can still get some precision out of this. Surprisingly, I thought this binding wouldn't be damp. I was wrong. Actually, riding through chunder and just rutted out terrain, it did a good job of dissipating that kinetic energy that comes up. I really didn't get much foot fatigue. That gasket on the bottom actually does work. It dampens very well. The overall binding ride of this was something that's playful, yet slightly damp to the point where you're like, oh, okay, for it being more jib oriented or freestyle focused or flexible, it didn't make it so much so that you just felt everything. Like you could actually charge through lumpy terrain and not feel like your feet were going to die. Who's this binding for? The more freestyle focused all mountain rider. So for a brand new binding, I actually really liked this and it rode exceptionally well. Like I could ride this binding and not have any problems with it. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it for what it was. It rode how I wanted to. I have one serious nitpick to it, and this should be rectified by next season's version. There's no cutout on the bottom if you break a tow ladder. You can't replace it. But I'm from the generation that knows how to DIY things, and this is an X-Acto knife. So you know what you want to do? Take it, poke it through, and just cut that little slit, and poof, boom. You can fix that little problem right there. And all you people that are like, oh no, it's gonna void my warranty. It's not gonna void your warranty. You're fine. Don't be a whiny little bitch. Just go do it. That's really my only issue with the Ultra. Like this binding super surprised me to the point that I'm like, man, I could ride this binding all over if I have to. I like the lateral flex. I know some people don't like mini discs, so if you don't like mini disc, this isn't the binding for you. It was damp where it needed to be. It's lively. The strap's contoured well. That toe strap actually fit my boot shape well. I know some people have had issues with that, as well as the quick release on this, the screw kind of backing out. Put a little dab of your mom's nail polish on and tighten it down. You'll be fine. It won't back out on you. Otherwise, for a first-year binding, really surprised, really stoked on this. This was actually a really, really good binding. Personally, I think this is my favorite Union binding right now, and I'm not a Union fanboy, but this I was a very, very big fan of. Comparable bindings. The Rome Vice, the Burton Malavita, the Bent Metal Action. This has been my review of the Union Ultra. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Do you own a pair? Are you going to buy a pair? Leave me a comment down below. Let's have a conversation about this binding. If you're new here, remember to subscribe, click the bell, get those notifications. That way you're not missing any of the videos we got coming out for all you snowboarders of the internet. And if you really like what we're doing over here and you want to support us further, swing on over to Angry Snowboarder VIP and become a member. Sure, I could tell you more here, but I got a video over there that explains it so much better. As always, I've been your host, Avran LeFeber, and I'll see you in another video.